Hi, Matt Noyes. Insights on a Monday here, looking out through the rest of the work week and give you an idea for the meteorology behind the forecast. Why does the forecast look the way it does? We're going to talk about how breezes are the key to the brush fire spread coming up in the days ahead and which days we're most concerned about breezes. Record warmth is coming for some of us on Wednesday. A tropical system is developing again. This one's going to likely make its way into the Gulf of Mexico with time, and a better chance of showers does come into play next week. We'll talk a little bit about that here. More about that in pattern predictions, which I'll post shortly later on this morning. In terms of the wind, not worried about too much wind over the course of today and tonight, but as we get into Tuesday, notice the breeze comes out of the southwest and begins to gust at times over 20 miles per hour. So your breeze kicks up Tuesday afternoon with the timestamp in the upper left. It continues to kick into Tuesday evening and Tuesday night with gusts over 20. Wednesday, it's more of the same. A southwest wind pumping up that record warmth, gusts still going over 25 miles per hour. By Wednesday afternoon, that continues to be the case. A cold front comes through on Wednesday evening, shifts the wind to blow out of the northwest into Thursday and Friday. It'll still be an active breeze, not exceptionally windy, but an active breeze nonetheless. Rain in the last 24 hours or precipitation in the last 24 hours, but most of this heavy stuff has been in the form of rain. This was much needed across the south central plains, running in across portions of the Midwest. These areas, some of them anyway, in severe and extreme drought and picking up on the order of 2, 3, and 4 inches of rain. Obviously, we've been removed from that, and for the most part, we continue to be. It continues to be a dry pattern, even as disturbances come by. We've got one warm front, the leading edge to that record warmth that's on the way. It's going to have to come through us during the course of the night tonight. That will focus just a couple of showers. It's already been doing that in some parts of the North Country, but really, it's when you get across northern parts of Maine, when you come across the crown of Maine, where this evening and tonight, we may pick up at least about a half inch of snow that's able to accumulate on the ground. A very wet snow, not a lot of impact out of that at all. There's severe storms on the front side of the storm center coming in through the nation's midsection here. We expect to find not only damaging wind, but embedded tornadoes over the course of the day today. By tomorrow, the weather map shows that storm center pulling up into the upper Midwest, dragging a cold front with it, nowhere near us yet, which is why the warmth continues to build with that increasing wind. And on Wednesday, late in the day, that's when the cold front comes through, and that's when we kind of put an end to the building warmth, and we reverse the trend, become at least closer to seasonal norms, probably still warmer than normal as we get toward the end of the week. You can see the high temperatures on Wednesday, 70s reaching well up into New England and the oranges here. The records are only in the low to mid 70s as it is, so that means records likely will be broken during the course of the midweek on Wednesday. In terms of more substantial snowfall in the country, it's on the backside of that storm where you've got the colder air coming in, and temperatures will be in the teens and 20s for highs the next couple of days, and that's why you see a big area of accumulating snow up and down the Intermountain region to the Rockies, even down to New Mexico for that matter as well. It may not fall all the way to the valley floor of Albuquerque, but the suburbs outside Albuquerque will be picking up snow over the next couple of days. Next 48 hours of rain, actually, look at that, inches more that comes down across the nation's midsection. Again, really good news for these areas that have been in drought, but we tend to be removed. We're thinking that here at home, you get a couple of showers that come through as we looked at tonight. And as I'll show you again, maybe here and there Tuesday into Wednesday in the North Country, but it does not add up to much. The farther south you come, the more entirely removed from that precipitation you are. Here's the map. There goes that warm front. So there go the showers early tomorrow morning. As they get out of here, we actually try to break some sun out through a lot of clouds that start the day, and we should do that. Your temperatures climb up to about 70. We'll take a look at that in a moment in the high temperature maps. But then as we get to Wednesday, you're really into the warmth. That's when the records fall across a lot of New England. The cold front comes through late Wednesday, reverses the trend, brings in the cooler air. It's interesting as we get out toward, let's say, the end of this week, all right, we start to get a pattern where you've got more of that moisture reloading in the nation's midsection, but there's also stuff going on in the Gulf of Mexico. That's a developing tropical system. And what's interesting to look at, and this is what we'll touch on more in pattern predictions, is as high pressures tends to build eastward, you may actually be able to open the door to at least some moisture, enough that it increases the chance of showers when our disturbances comes through, because so recently they've just been dry when they pass by. This is the next potential tropical cyclone, as it's called by the National Hurricane Center. It is number 18. It would be named Raphael as it continues to move off to the north and west. It's expected to cross the western tip of Cuba at midweek this week and then continue to move into the Gulf of Mexico. There is a lot of what we call wind shear that's changing wind direction and speed with height. That's not usually favorable for strengthening. So actually, while the storm is predicted to become a Category 1 hurricane over western Cuba, it's actually forecast to weaken as it comes into the Gulf of Mexico. But as I mentioned, regardless, it represents at least available moisture. So if you can get a slight change in the pattern, you could at least try and bring some of that moisture north, and that's what we're going to look at in pattern predictions. Highs tomorrow running about 70, lows tomorrow night going to be running about 60, about 55 to 60. And then Wednesday, here you go, 75 Boston, 75 Worcester. These would be records that would be set across a lot of central and southern New England. Northern New England very likely would squeeze out records and spots as well. Records aren't that high, and actually most of them were set in 2022. It wasn't that long ago. As we get to the overnight Wednesday night, the new air starts to come in. The temperatures drop down to the 40s. Thursday, you're starting that kind of decline on the temperatures. That continues as we get to the end of the week on Friday. But notice, you're still actually above normal in a lot of spots for this time of the year. Get the 14-day or see the hourly forecast if you want. And of course, always the live radar when we have stuff that's falling. You get that all on our app. Noyes is 1 degree outside. Weather on both the App Store and Google Play. Hope you've enjoyed this kind of deeper dive into the meteorology. Pattern predictions coming up next. That'll be the next 2 weeks and how things are shaping up. See you with that shortly at 1degreeoutside.com.